have a question, and please, 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 please answer it in the comments. Is this America First chicken actually real chicken? I don't think this is the same chicken I ate when I was younger. Let me know if you agree with me or not. Like, I'm dead ass serious. I want to know what y'all think. And speaking of fucked up food, the Trump administration made significant changes to the food safety and oversight during his terms, with public health experts and advocacy groups expressing concerns over the regulatory policies, budget reductions, and weakened enforcements. Critics argue that Donald Trump's deregulatory agenda during his second term has compromised public health by awakening the oversight, enforcement, and monitoring systems designed to keep America's food supply safe. While the administration frames these rollbacks as necessary to lower grocery prices, consumer advocacy groups and food safety experts argue they directly increase the risk of foodborne illness. The primary arguments against the administration's second-term food safety decisions include: number one, rolling back salmonella protections in poultry. The USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service formally withdrew the proposed salmonella framework for raw poultry products. This Biden-era rule would have officially classified raw chicken and turkey contaminated with high levels of dangerous salmonella strains as adulterated or spoiled, effectively allowing the government to block sales and issue mandatory recalls. Organizations like the Center for Science and the Public Interest, CSPI, called the repeal a major step backward for public health. Critics argue that allowing contaminated poultry to freely ship to grocery store shifts the entire burden of preventing salmonella, which causes over 1 million U.S. illnesses annually, directly onto the consumer. 2. Personnel cuts and agency downsizing. Under a broader government efficiency mandate, federal health agencies lost thousands of employees, impacting the Food and Drug Administration's and Centers for Disease Control food safety divisions. The administration also terminated 2 key USDA food safety advisory committees, including one focused on predicting and controlling foodborne pathogens. Food safety experts warn that severe staffing shortages undermine basic regulatory enforcement. The loss of specialized inspectors has forced the suspension of several proactive FDA food safety assurance programs, including routine quality controls for grade A milk, aged cheese, and fresh vegetables. 3. Scaling back outbreak surveillance. The CDC significantly scaled back its premier food poisoning surveillance program, the Foodborne Diseases Active Surveillance Network. The program reduced mandatory tracking down to just 2 pathogens, which are Salmonella and E. coli, dropping required surveillance for 6 other dangerous foodborne pathogens across 10 major states. Health advocates argue that turning off these tracking systems make it far more difficult for the government to detect regional outbreaks early, slow down contaminated supply chains, and identify emerging bacterial threats before they spread widely. 4. Delaying food traceability rules. The FDA issued a 30-month delay on the compliance deadline for the food traceability final rule, pushing it from January 2026 to July 2028. Additionally, Congress placed restrictions on the FDA's ability to enforce rules regarding pre-harvest agricultural water safety and listeria guidelines in low-risk food environments. FSMA 204 was designed to force companies to keep meticulous digital records of high-risk foods like leafy greens and seafood, so that during a deadly outbreak, tainted food could be tracked to its source in hours instead of weeks. Critics argue that delaying this rule leaves the public exposed to prolonged, slow-moving outbreaks of E. coli and Listeria. Number 5. Increased reliance on self-regulation. The administration has expanded policies that reduce the physical presence of federal food inspectors in commercial slaughterhouses usage and processing plants, delegating those visual inspection tasks to the facility workers themselves. Watchdogs note that this plant employees face immense pressure from management to maintain high production line speeds. They have an inherent conflict of interest. Duh. Critics argue that relying on self-policing increases the likelihood that sick or injured animals slip through the system without independent federal oversight. So, what does this mean for us Americans? The deregulation of food safety essentially shifts the responsibility of protecting your health from the government and corporations directly onto you. Thanks, Trump. Because federal inspectors are less involved, the risk of buying contaminated food has increased. This creates 3 main impacts for average consumers. Higher exposure to bacteria. There is a greater chance that raw meats, poultry, or leafy greens containing dangerous bacteria like Salmonella or E. coli will make it onto the grocery store shelves. Then we have slower recalls. If a foodborne illness outbreak does happen, you might be dead before these people track it and trace it and figure out what the hell is going on and pull them from the shelves. With all of these dangerous changes, it's harder to stay informed. With fewer government tracking systems active, the public will receive fewer and less timely warnings about localized outbreaks. Clearly, the built-in safety net is weaker. You need to rely on strict kitchen habits to protect yourself and your family. You can sign up for direct alerts. Do not wait to see a food recall on the evening news. You can sign up for immediate email notifications directly from the government at foodsafety.gov/recalls. I told you they are trying to kill us, and I've been telling you that because what else is the point of all of this unless it's death?